Let me just play with the idea to see if it inspires me. Hello, welcome to a series where I blind test plugins from ads that I see. My name is Adam. I make plugins and produce music professionally. I'll link my 3 music projects in the description. Today, we're actually looking at an update to a plugin that I tested already. That plugin is Co-Producer by Output. I first blind tested this plugin right when they released it. In general, I thought the idea was very cool, but I found that the results were kind of hard to control. It wasn't always listening to my prompt very well. The catalog seemed limited, and it didn't seem to listen to my recorded input or my track. It didn't seem to extract much accurate context other than just rhythmic stuff from the track that I recorded into it. But they actually reached out to me and they saw the review and they thought there was a lot of valid points there. And since then, they've updated it. They introduced a few new features. I know, for example, that there's a reimagine feature where they claim that it's actually AI manipulating the results. And I know that they also expanded to include more third parties within the catalog. So there should be better options to pull from within Co-Producer. But I haven't touched it yet since then. So I don't really know how much better it's going to be. So this is going to be a second blind test of Output's Co-Producer. No time to waste. Let's get right into it. So in the first video, I did a 3-part test where I tested Co-Producer in 3 different levels of production. There was something that was basically not a song, something that was kind of already a song, and then an almost fully released production. So for today, I'm going to keep it simple. I just have a session that I'm working on. I'm producing this out for my project Lone Body, which is electronic pop usually. And so I'm kind of in the early production phase where I wrote it all out on a piano. So I structured the song out melodically and harmonically, and I've been trying to experiment with production to find stuff that I like. So I think it's a good opportunity because, for example, I already have an idea for the verse that I am into, but I'm not sure what else I could do or if there's anything cooler. So I think this is a good opportunity to test Co-Producer because that's kind of the claim of the plugin. It's to help you produce and find new stuff that's cool. So let's just start diving right into it. And I'm going to open the plugin for the very first time now. Okay, so far it looks the same as I remember it. There's a key selector, a text prompt, a capture recording. I'm not sure if any of this is new. Not sure. Randomize. I'm not sure if that button was in there before. I don't remember. But before we dive into using Co-Producer, I'll just show you what this verse loop is sounding like at the moment, and then we could think about what kind of stuff we want to find for it. So. That's the idea I'm crafting right now. So let's just open Co-Producer. We want to record our track. So I'm going to put it on the master before the limiter, and we're going to record this loop here. Here's an overview of the new features, I guess. I didn't actually see this the first time I opened the plugin. Save samples. Save your favorite sounds for later. Cool. New sounds from Production Master. Explore 11,000 new sounds from old school rave to dark trap. So they added a lot of new sounds. 11,000 is quite a lot. Personalized reimagine. Results now incorporate your captured audio for better results. I thought that's what it was already doing because they kind of claimed that it already, I'm not sure what they mean. It incorporates your captured audio. So let's just see. Maybe the audio capture is better now. So one thing that I knew about this intro was I like the verse to start right away, really groovy and kind of full so that it can catch the listener. But right now, I feel like while this bass synth is interesting, I almost like this section with the guitar more because it's more full. But I wasn't sold on putting that guitar in right away at the verse. So maybe we could find something in Co-Producer that can help us just kind of make the first half of the verse a little more interesting. Let's record this loop in here. Let's capture it. With that captured, let's make sure we have it correctly. So one thing that I knew I wanted, which I didn't find yet, is some sort of like filler texture. Like I wanted some kind of, I haven't found yet, some kind of noise or ambience layer. I like to mix things down. It's actually cool to start a song with like a snippet of like some weird noise and then go straight into the beat just to really engage the person. So let's just find an abstract textural ambience loop. Yeah, let's just say that for now. The key of the song I will set, we are in B major. Here we go. And we are asking for abstract textural ambience loops. Let's see what it comes up with. Okay. So that's just like a noise. That's cool, but I want something a little more interesting with like actual stuff happening. So most of these are just kind of like ambient synths or instruments that are playing ambiently, but they're not really like, I want kind of Foley ambience, you know, like non-instrumentation, just like recordings of like random stuff. Let's try a prompt then. Let's try abstract Foley environment samples. Okay. We don't really want percussion though. Let's try this. So that one's cool. I'm going to save that because it's actually doing something percussive, which isn't what I was looking for, but I want to go in later and see if I can mix that in better because there's some beats that I would keep and isolate and some that I would remove. It's doing something fun in there in the in-between beats. So same thing. I'm going to save this one here. I'm having a hard time getting what I want. So let's just type in atmosphere ambience, just very simply. I just want something that's not trying to be an instrument, you know? Better. Let's see this one. So that's closer to what I want because I don't want something that sounds like I have to tune it with the progression. I just want some noise that's going to be really quiet, tucked back. This show similar feature wasn't here before in the first version that I tested. I imagine it's something like how Splice does it. The show similar. That's the one we had. Sounds like rain. Cool. These are coming from the same pack, it looks like, which makes sense. So it looks like the similar sounds are just pulling things that are in the same category of found sounds. Like these are pretty much not harmonic, which is what I wanted ultimately, but there's a good bit of spread in here. Like we've got chatter. And then you've got like something that sounds like more of a synth, more of a vinyl noise. The similar sounds here, at least it is finding me like what I was looking for. But it doesn't seem like it's a variation or anything related too closely to the starting one. But I guess it is doing kind of what I had hoped for. It's putting me more into this specific funnel that I was looking for. But let's play with this one. I kind of like the noise of the people. So let's mix it down. But now let's try the reimagine, because this is where I assume that it's actually going to generate something that does sound similar to this specific loop. Let's try it out. It says it's beta. I think anything stable diffusion, anything AI generative audio-wise is always labeled as beta in most companies because models are always going to be improved. So let's see what it did. So here's the first one. Here's the first reimagined one. So this sounds like the same as the similar sound. It sounds like it's pulling found sound type content, but how is that? Like this one is so distinctly people talking or kids talking with a noise under it. So I'm wondering how Reimagine got us to this. Like, it does sound weird and quirky. It might be a generated sound, but these are very different. I don't see any difference between the similar sounds and the reimagined sounds for now. Let's go back. There was one I liked here at the top. So this is the one. Let's go back and try that percussive sound that we saved. So this is the save feature, which is new. So I saved these two. And then this one. So let's reimagine this now. So this is more percussive. This is almost more instrumental. This is more of like a percussion loop. So let's see if the Reimagine will keep it in that kind of lane or if it's going to take us totally out of the lane again. So let's see. So it even has similar rhythms in there. That rhythm is still in there. Okay, so it does seem closer than with the Found Sounds one that we reimagined. I do hear, like, in some of these, I hear more resemblance to the original sound than the others. So I do kind of feel like I get what's happening there, but we'll have to try the reimagined feature. Oh, that's weird. So we'll have to try the reimagined feature on a more harmonic instrument. So I had this guitar coming in here, which I did like. But let's turn that off and let's see if there are cool guitars in Co-Producer. So I did like that one. So I'm going to use that as kind of a prompt here. So let's record this new section here with my guitars turned off. Okay, now let's describe that thing we wanted. So we wanted some distorted, wide, upbeat electric guitar strums. Whoops, strums. Find samples. Let's see how this fits. Let's just play a few of these with the track. Let's go to similar sounds off of this one. I like the tone of that. I'm not a huge fan of the part. So it looks like it's all from the same pack or whatever, the same name to the instrument. So the first one that we had was actually the closest one. So let's try Reimagine on it then. I do notice that they've improved the design. So there's like a more clear volume control. It used to be really tiny and hard to adjust here. So let's see what it reimagined for us. So I do really think that this is stable diffusion or actual generative audio because it has that like tonal quality of AI generated audio. Comparing that to this stuff. I don't know if it's fully in mono in these generated things, but they sound so much thinner and the fidelity is worse and they sound really robotic. And that's in general kind of how gen audio sounds right now. So I do think it is actually using AI to generate sounds now, which it didn't used to do. I thought that's what the product was at first, but they added that feature in probably by request, or maybe they always planned to, because it's pretty obvious that a feature like that would be useful in something like this. So I am excited by the fact that Reimagine is actually reimagining now. But it's not super clear how it's determining what to do, because sometimes rhythmically it's very similar, sometimes tonally it's very similar, sometimes they're both very different. So I don't know, maybe that's part of the magic, is it's just kind of doing doing whatever. I also noticed something very cool, which I don't think was in the first one here, but if you go into saved samples and you right click them, I saw this generate sampler in Arcade. And that's actually one of my favorite features of Arcade is their onboard sampler where you can bring in your own recording and it auto slices it with their effects. That is something that has been really, really cool for me in production. The most common application is I'll just put in like a vocal recording from my lead and I'll try to chop it up or instrumentalize it a little bit. So I'm curious how this drag sample directly into Arcade. I was going to say, I didn't know how it links. So I don't think you can, in a DAW, have queue a plugin to load from another plugin. I think that's a limitation of just how plugins interface with the DAW. So I was wondering if I would click that and it would somehow open Arcade, that would be huge and revolutionary because I didn't think that was possible. So that's why they just tell you, they're reminding you how you can do that. And that is a really good idea. But it is kind of deceptive. Generate sampler in Arcade. Like, I can click it and then immediately have a playable sampler of that loop. That would be really cool. But I think that's the plugin limitation there that you can't do within a host. But nonetheless, I do like the saving feature. Let's see what else we've got in here. We've got versions for the GUI and the app. That's cool that they have separate versioning. I do notice a lot of UI improvements, which is cool. Okay, let's try something different here. I'm going to turn off, even though I do like my drums, I'm going to turn them off and we're going to see how well we can find cool drum loops and customize them with the new Reimagine and similar sounds features. We have to recapture our sound. Now let's say that we want, how do we describe this? Thick electronic trap drums. Last time I tested this, I had the trouble that these drum results weren't full kits. So it'd be like just a kick or just a snare. And I think that's because most of the sounds came from Arcade where they're stem split. But if there's more third-party stuff in here, maybe we're lucky and we do get more full kits right off the bat. The first time I had to specify multiple times, like full drum kit, entire kit, to get it to actually give me a couple. So let's just see, without having to say that, let's see what the results are like. I don't know why bass is coming up. Is there like a feedback, like this result sucks? Yeah, report bad results. Gave me a bass loop when clearly prompted for drums. Yeah, hopefully they can improve based on that. Again, same thing. So this kit is like wrongly pulling in a bunch of basses. I don't know why. But it does give me full kits and it is really hitting the trap drums description. So let's get away from trap a bit and let's just say thick modern pop drums. Because I kind of was going for I think the kit I was using was a hybrid. It was like a real kick, like an acoustic kick layered with a sample. And then the snare was definitely a sampled, distorted snare. So I like to go for these kind of pop rock kind of hybrid kits so that they're really full and thick. Usually the snares are more electronic and modern. One thing I noticed is that, I don't know if it's the way I have it set up with OBS, but sometimes this plugin window will steal my space bar. And I can't play the session unless I click in the DAW again. And then see, it happened again. That's cool. That's actually reminding me of a drum idea I already had down for verse 2. Okay, well, with my drums back on, let's look for the one thing I don't really have solved is some kind of energetic cymbals or shakers. So let's just say top percussion trap loop. I'm hoping it's going to give me a combination of shakers, claps, and hats. Nice. Okay, so let's say I actually like this one and I want to reimagine. So this is close. So let's reimagine. Again, I don't know. It's hard because reimagine seems to change both of those things sometimes. But let's see. So here was the original again. So the other thing I want to check, I mentioned this before, but I want to actually verify what's happening in the stereo field because they feel really thin. They feel mono, and I don't know if that's what's happening, but it's going to be harder. Like if you get a good result from the reimagine feature, it's going to be harder to get them to sit well in the mix because they're not as realistic. So this was the original one. You've got panning, and the shakers look like they're really spread. Most of the hats are kind of centered. But then let's play one of these. Okay, that is still spread. Nice. Okay, some of them are still really wide. I was wrong, it's not. Maybe some of the results are more mono than others, but this at least removes my suspicion that you're losing stereo spread. So that's good. Can I drag straight from here? Oddly enough, no. It looks like I could drag it within the window, but there's no reason to do that. It looks like maybe that feature is broken when you're in this view. So let's go back to the main one. So that's another thing I'm annoyed with. Is this the one? It always looks like it's like researching. I don't like the fact that it says it's searching again when I go back. I just want to keep my position in the list. It does look like it had my position in the list, but the other time I got a little confused. Let's drag this out. So I would just copy this part of the phrase here. So it's cool to have that little variation there at the end of the 4-bar loop. I would omit the first beat there. Nice. Okay, so we did get a result. I'm starting to get the vibe of the new version now. I think that it is definitely a huge improvement, but I do actually, I said originally that I didn't want to do this, and I just wanted to work in this session, but I am going to open a new session and start a new track just for fun. So in this song, I want to make a new lo-fi demo. I just want to pull up co-producer. I don't have a song at all. We're starting with 75 beats per minute. I don't even care what key. Lo-fi chord loop. Let's really just get the juices flowing. I'm not recording any audio because there is nothing. Let's just find something we like and let's just follow inspiration, because when I've tested this the first time, I started with a loop that I liked and it was hard to find things that supplemented that. So I want to test that again. Cool. Let's just use that for now. E flat minor, I guess. So we're building on this loop here. Let's capture the audio. R&B acoustic bass guitar riff. It kept the key. I don't know if that was selected before. If it kept the key, that's pretty cool. Let's just start with bass and chords, get something cool before we do it. I tend to jump into drums too soon. No. No. Cool. I like some notes of that. Let's reimagine that. What does that sound like alone? Because that's kind of cool. Nice. I'm going to actually go with that instead because it's not going well with the chords. That's a problem I always have with finding bass lines. You've got these high note things that are kind of cool going on in there because I think it was generated, so it's got some weird quirks to it that I like. So let's now record just that thing. Chill, minimal lo-fi drums. Nice. Hey. Oh, it introduces hats later. Okay, let's just take this. There's like a sub in there. Re-record this now with the drums. Now, I don't actually like when the hats come in. I'm going to just keep the first part. The hat's kind of ruining the vibe for me. Let's look for atmospheric vocals. Some kind of vocal bed or something cool. Maybe even choppy. I don't know. I have no expectations here. Let's see what happens. it's just a stab. That's cool. Let's hear that. I'm going to reimagine again because I like audio gen quirk. Okay, so let's see what kind of quirky generated stuff we got. Here was the original. It was a little too on the nose for me. It felt a little too like EDM vocals. Nice. These are all fun. They're all so different. That one's fun. Cool. Let me just play with the idea a little bit to see if it inspires me. I don't love that little like second deep thing here. Let's keep just the end phrase. Okay, I don't like that voice at all, actually. Let's record it again, and this time I want some shakers or some tams. Record again. Let's just type in shaker. Simple. Shaker, baby. Simple. Keep it simple. Just give me some nice butter. Give me some butter. No. No. Nope. There we go. Hey. Let's reimagine. Let's just see what happens again. That is so weird. It sounds like it's actually taking like the vocal influence from the recording, which is cool. That's sick. I like that. Let's do that. Let's put that vocal on the right. But I still want the original shaker. Let's go back to the original shaker. Let's take it. Nothing's in a bus. This is such a messy production so far, but if I like the idea, I'll go in and produce it out, clean it up. This would actually be cool with an auto pan on it. Do whatever you want, auto pan, you know what I mean? Without the piano. Certified banger. Okay, that's cool. So we're ready to check out here. Okay, closing thoughts. I am impressed by where this currently is based on where it started from. I trusted that they had a vision and that I'm sure it would have gotten better over time. They were pretty quick to act on it. They added a bunch of third-party support and other sounds to their catalog, and then they introduced this reimagine feature. And it even seems like with the reimagine feature, it seems like it's doing a better job of using the recorded audio, because in that last example there with the shaker, that sounded like there was vocal influence. The piece that I recorded had the vocal chop in it. So it almost seems like it was listening to what you were doing and affecting it into the generation a bit, which is very cool. And the first time I tested it, I didn't get any kind of indication that it was even really using the recorded audio, except for maybe just rhythmically. It seems like it kind of is, at least in the reimagine feature, which is now more fun. I still think that this is a tool that you go to when you are just messing around, like when you're just in the production phase of exploring sounds and textures and just shopping. So the very early production phases, this isn't really a tool still for finishing an almost 90% fleshed out production, because it's hard to make things super tailored to your song. So it is cool for the sample discovery phase. And I think that's what they're targeting with the product in general. It's like you wouldn't be hunting for loops and for sounds if you didn't already have the sounds you needed. So I don't think this is gonna like fix the nuance of your layering and your production to make your production finally cross the finish line, but I do think that it will yield creative results. And compared to last time, with the reimagined feature, I'm getting way more quirky things, which I enjoy sampling, because all the content in their catalog is being designed by real humans, as far as I'm aware. Like, they're produced pieces, and there are a lot of inspiring and innovative things in those pieces, but they lack that. There's this the unique quirk to AI audio gen, where it does these weird things. If they're vocals, they're saying nonsensical things, or they're chopping weirdly. And then, like in that example, the shaker becomes kind of a vocal glitch. So I think with the reimagined feature, this is more bottomless in terms of getting inspired by things you hear, thus reinforcing it as a tool that's valuable in the sandbox phase of production. So that being said, I am really happy they reached out to me. I'm glad that I tested the features. They improved the UI. It's clearer to use. There's more you can do. You can save samples to go back to. A lot of those little feature changes are not really that important in the grand scheme of things. They're nice lifestyle changes, but those aren't really what turned me off from the product the first time I tested it. It was more just like the usability. I couldn't control things. There weren't enough sounds. There wasn't like, I could find something that I liked moderately, but I didn't have that extra step that I have now with the reimagined features. So I would be kind of pigeonholed into using that loop that I already liked, and then I'd have to manually cut it and stuff, which is fine. If I like it enough, that was okay, but it was a limiting factor back then. And now I think it's cracked wide open what you can do with it, which is really cool. And they've added 11,000 sounds, like they said. So I anticipate that that will continue to increase. The only thing I don't like about this product is that it's a subscription. And I'm not against subscriptions in general, but because this is such a tool that's so hard to predict when it will help me, it's very hard for me to justify a recurring charge. And I don't think it's that expensive, but I want to revisit the pricing model in case they've changed it since they've updated it. I would hope that they didn't, because I think it was a bold ask to begin with when it was more limited. So now it seems worth, this looks the same to me. $9.99 per month for just co-producer, $14.99 per month for arcade and everything. So again, that one makes way more sense. If you're going to pay $10 a month just for co-producer, I don't know if that makes sense. $15 a month does make more sense. So I have the same opinion there, that the higher tier makes more sense if you don't have already arcade and other stuff by output. But now, even more so than before, I think this justifies a subscription. Personally, again, my takeaway is, would I pay $9.99 a month to use this? Yes, but I would immediately cancel. I would open it when I know I'm open to these explorative tools. I think 90% of the time I spend working on a production is actually finishing it and putting on all the polishing details and mixing it and stuff. And that's not when this tool would be useful to me. It's more when I'm writing new demos or when I'm first producing out a song I wrote on the piano. That's when I think this is fun. But I think after that first week or two of exploration, where I'm like, okay, I know what this song is going to be, then I get more detailed with my production. I get more into the sampling in the DAW, and I get more into the mixing and the layering and the arrangement of the elements. So I don't think I would ever have a recurring subscription to this, but that's because I already had arcade. So I don't feel the need to pay more just for co-producer, but with the same subscription, I could let it run. I don't use arcade that frequently to write new tracks. I think co-producer is actually more interesting to write new tracks, because I find that when I'm in arcade, I do find inspiring things, but I either can't control them the way that I want to, or I anyway have to get the audio out of it to do what I want to the sound and chop it up manually. So I do think co-producer to me is actually more useful than arcade at this point, because I have a lot of virtual instruments that to me sound better. I'm not a fan of the notes kits they have, because they sound very fake and multi-sampled to me. The loops are cool. The lines, the sample kit lines are cool, because you do get those weird kind of choppy things going on, but I don't use arcade that much for that reason. So I do see myself using co-producer even more than arcade. The only time I really use arcade is when I want to put in my own vocal to make a sampler. But even then, usually I end up just using Ableton Simpler, because I know it and it's easier to control. I can customize the length of every segment. But yeah, anyway, it's safe to say that I am impressed by what they've done with this. I'm curious where they can go with this. It is more usable, and it's important to note that this is not a tool that can produce for you, and it's never setting itself out to be. These types of tools like Splice and Co-Producer, they're not going to make you a good song. They can't. What they can get you is inspiration and loops that sound good, and it's your job to be the artist and the visionary to reimagine the content in a unique and innovative way with your own artistic flair. So I do think that now it's more feasible to use Co-Producer, and I'm really glad I took the time to review it. So hopefully this video was informative to you and you learned something before trying it out. So I do actually now recommend this if you're willing to spend a subscription, but otherwise do what I do. Open it when you need to write a new song and close it when you don't. I think that's the most economic approach to using Co-Producer. Hope you liked the video. Subscribe to the channel. I do plugin reviews for fun, purely out of my own interest. I am not paid by people. This is just out of my own personal time and my passion for plugins and music production. So again, I'm Adam, and I will see you guys next time.